Welcome back to Newcastle, where in game it's been almost 3 months, but thankfully for you guys, not quite so long. The Qatar World Cup has happened, it was won by Spain, and we are now at the tail end of January, ready to do the transfer deadline day, but first, Everton. We've gone unbeaten since we last met, although that unbeaten run does include 3 draws. We drew with Spurs, Arsenal and Wolves, the latter of those 2 away from home, so they're good points in my opinion. Ironically, drawing at home to Spurs is the most disappointing result of this run so far. But Norwich were dispatched, West Brom were dispatched by scoring 3 goals in both of those. Finally, not narrow wins. West Brom's consolation goal was a back post header. But that is the first back post header we've conceded in quite a while, so maybe they did do something and tone them down a little bit, or at very least tone down the frequency in which those opportunities arise. That might be more the case. But you can see, in terms of opportunities arising, Tyrone Mings has scored 3 more goals in this period. He's now our joint top scorer with Sesko, who did score 1 against Norwich and maintained that advantage for 3 more games until Mings scored again against Arsenal. It's a bit awkward. But speaking of awkward situations, Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored against Newport County, and that set him on his way. 2 more against West Brom and 1 more against Wolves. He's up to 4 goals, so hopefully Tyrone Mings' 8 will soon be overtaken by Dominic. One would hope. Finally got a deal for Callum Wilson that I'm relatively okay with. It's not gone through just yet, but there have been transfers. Now, you may be confused, and so am I, because I genuinely didn't notice until I just clicked record, but John Joe Shelvey played one of those friendlies we did during the Qatar World Cup and scored in it. I don't know how, because he was a loan to buy. At some point, that loan ended, but he was here long enough to play a friendly before the permanent part of that activated. I don't know how that happened. I'm very confused. $2.5 million, though, for John Joe Shelvey, we'll take. A somewhat sad one, but Sean Longstaff went for $5 million. I wish his physicals were better. He's 25. I don't know if he's ever going to get that potential. I know he has more potential, but he just never realised it in this save. Maybe because I didn't play him enough. I don't know. But decent enough technicals, decent enough mentals, particularly the bomb end. But those physicals are what hold him back. And £5 million also being sold to Norwich, who I have a fond spot for. Can't really deny him. He wanted to go. You might recall last episode that a lot of players were suddenly happy to be squad players after kicking up a fuss about not playing enough. All of those players that agreed to be squad players then decided they also wanted to go out on loan and would not back down on that demand. The important player apocalypse kind of happened, but not in the way I was expecting. But Sean was one of those, and he got an actual deal through rather than a loan offer, and it was Norwich, so I let him have it. He wanted to go. A similar situation with Dubravka, although he never demanded to go out on loan. He did agree to be a backup goalkeeper, but he never demanded to go out on loan. Porto came in for him, and he was extremely interested. So for a person I very much appreciate, and I think he's underrated in the game, although the attributes look quite nice on him, just doesn't necessarily perform as well as he does in real life. I don't know why. For £5 million all told for a 34-year-old goalkeeper, yeah, I'll take $5 million at this stage, as much as it pains me to see Dubravka go. But both those major outbounds have been replaced with homegrown players. Harry Winks, the midfielder of those two, just better than Sean Longstaff in basically every area. Slightly better technicals. Mentals, the bottom end aren't as great, but the top end are better. And the physicals are better across the board pretty much as well. He's very professional. He's agreed to be a squad player for 4 years. Welcome to the permanent second choice midfielder, Harry Winks. Cost me $16 million, which I think, really, for what we're getting here, bear in mind the English premium, isn't bad. Similarly, homegrown is the new goalkeeper, the new backup goalkeeper. Again, agreed to be a backup for 4 years. I'm not unhappy with this. It's a good deal. Cost me £7 million, only 2 more than Dubravka cost to sell. I will say he's not as good as Dubravka. The mentals are a bit confusing because I know Dubravka's mentals aren't particularly great. So on the face of it, I don't know if they're better or worse. His acceleration is better, but some of those goalkeeping attributes obviously not quite as good. He's 2.5 star now. He does have 3.5 star potential though. So in theory, as Castile's ages up, Kelleher will be entering his prime as Castile is sort of just on the far side of it. Welcome. I'm not going to say his first name. I don't know how to do it. I know how to pronounce pretty much every other Irish name, just not that one. Someone please tell me. I'll probably look it up. Whilst I was looking for backup goalkeepers, I was tempted to sign Cardiff's goalkeeper. He was homegrown. I found this guy in Cardiff's youth. Had a standout price tag, which obviously indicates potential, and scouting him, he had potential. 14 passing and 15 marking off the bat, 14 teamwork, 14 determination. Some good attributes to start with. The physicals are confusingly bad, but he's also 5'6", so he could become like a Welsh Kante in theory, but he is 16. You're probably not going to see him until the very end of this save. I felt I had to get an English youngster in at some point that we could develop into our own player. Also, largely because my board had been signing foreign under 21 players, I didn't realise there was a limit, so I could only do English ones, well, British ones. Sorry, I think I called him English a couple of times there. I apologise profusely for that. However, us hitting the foreign under-21 player limit, thanks to my board signing under-23 players, has benefited us somewhere else. This transfer is confirmed for the end of the year. However, I was going to buy him now for about 6 million was what we agreed. That was all accepted. The contract was done, and then I couldn't sign him because of the under-21 foreign player limit, which I didn't realise we'd hit or existed until now. But Moukoko will be ours at the end of the year. I mean, we don't need more strikers, but it's Moukoko. How could I say no to this? Snuck in before anyone else attempted anything as well. There were people on the interested list. We snuck in before all of them. But for this all-important match against Everton to round out the January fixtures for us, which of course we'll see Calvert-Lewin and Digne welcome their former team to St James's Park, we have Casteels, Digne at left-back, who has been massively disappointing, but I will persist with because I'm not 100% convinced that bad rating is actually a bad rating. Mings, Soulé, and Mbabu at right-back. Hatebour's injured, but I'd also agreed to give Mbabu some game time. He finally kicked off, and I basically had to agree to let him play some games. I haven't been massively impressed with Hatebour's recent performances anyway, so that's why I agreed to let him do it. Then Hatebour got injured regardless. Nyanza in front of them. He served his yellow card suspension finally during this period, and is back for this. Benacer, Willock, Saint-Maximin, Adeyemi, and Calvert-Lewin up front, who is now scoring goals. Can he score against his former team, though? In case you were wondering, yes, Spain did with the World Cup, as I said. They were the ones to knock out England in the quarterfinals, so we did lose to the eventual winners. One of the most interesting things about the Qatar World Cup was how weirdly the South American teams did. Argentina and Uruguay were knocked out in the group stages. Brazil was second in their group to Turkey, and then ended up runners-up of the whole damn thing anyway. They lost to Spain in the final. Meanwhile, this is particularly thrilling for the first 15 minutes. We've got a highlight, and it's Corey now on the ball. Back to Michael Keane, to Godfrey. Mason Holgate's demanded to leave. He's on my radar. £10 million is their price tag for him. But as Lascelles wants to leave on loan, perhaps, with a permanent deal in mind, perhaps at the end of all that, we're going to need an English backup, probably. Saint-Maximin. I know it's not a particularly exciting transfer, Mason Holgate, if it does occur, but we've got deadline day soon. That's a curious ball from Saint-Maximin. Calvert-Lewin back in was to Willock. Mbabu on this right-hand side gets past his defender, whips it in with his left foot of all things. Willock back to Mbabu again, this time right-footed. Calvert-Lewin is there, and he does indeed score against his former team. Dominic's here. Oh, man, it's good to see him work. I mean, that ball on his left foot was confusing for Mbabu. It was quite a decent ball, actually, but on his right foot, his actual natural right foot, finds Calvert-Lewin in the middle of the box, all 6'4" of him, with decent heading stats, attributes. Although, decent heading stats as well, actually. Does win a fair amount of headers, does Dominic, of course, thanks to those attributes. So I technically wasn't inaccurate in saying stats there, it just wasn't what I meant. Benacer. Dominic's in again, and it's still just one for Dominic as Jordan saves. Oh, as the ball. Oh, there's Mings with his 9th goal of the season. I'm starting to feel a little bit bad about this corner tactic. I will be real with you. But Saint-Maximin's actually racking up assists thanks to this as well. Oh, the earlier fixture, Liverpool beat Man UFC 4-2. Lewandowski with a hat-trick. He's been Lewandowski, frankly. Part of the reason why I didn't mind taking Kelleher off them as a backup goalkeeper, because if Alisson does get injured, I think Lewandowski's got enough to offset the fact that their backup is now going to be Adrian. I've just seen who Everton signed as Digne's replacement. It's Halstenberg, who, decent player, but I think he's underrated in FM, from what I recall. Adeyemi's going for it, although he's putting Calvert-Lewin for a second. I think he might be offside. Calvert-Lewin's first goal, the one he scored against Newport County, was ruled offside initially. He was miles on. It was a weird call. This one's been awarded as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin keeps finding himself in offside, not offside positions, apparently. I thought he might have been off here, but I mean, it all happened so quickly. I am going to have to see this with lines because I genuinely thought he was off here. And it's 3-0 within half an hour. Adeyemi, back to Willock. Ooh, he is... The lines are weird. The lines definitely aren't accurate there, but he was just in line, I think. But Dominic, the goal scorer so far, and Mbabu, 3 different assisters. Mbabu, Saint-Maximin and Willock. Nice to see assisters across the board there, as Everton have failed to have a shot so far, despite having more possession, which is weird. We're normally quite good on the old possession front. Oh, they had a late shot, apparently. Yeah, we're quite good with the old possession, normally. West Brom are beating Man City, which is huge. You can see the league table on the right side, just above my head here. We were 4th going in today, but currently sit 3rd. It's a very tight top 4. Drawing with Arsenal obviously didn't help, but it's a point away at Arsenal. We play them on the final day. How important that game might be, and Mbabu intercepts that Terrible pass, and Calvert-Lewin's in a spot of space, plays in Adeyemi. It's 4. Once the Liverpool game got moved into February, I thought, do we still do this Everton game, or do we go straight for the Man UFC match that follows the end of the window? I thought, no, we'll do Everton because they're the kind of team that's in the area that we are sort of overall as a team in the predictions, sort of in that pack just behind the top 6, including Spurs, that pack. But yeah, we are putting them to the sword today. Everton mid-table as a team over the course of the season, the sort of ballpark where we found ourselves at the end of last season. Boy, have we come on leaps and bounds since last season. Digne. I mean, we did nick 2 of their players, in fairness. But Dominic hasn't started scoring till January, so nicking one of those wasn't terrible. Although Calvert-Lewin thought he might have a chance there, but we just sort of drifted into a position where that wasn't quite possible. Nianzo finds Willock, who goes for it. I mean, a 4-0, I don't blame you, sunshine. And despite being 4-0 up, Sula's on a 6.5 and Dean is on a 6.7. I don't think they've had a single shot on target so far of Everton, and yet 2 of my defenders aren't on above 7. How good do my defenders have to be for them to get 7s? I mean, I know at the end of the game, if that doesn't go in, consolation goal, but you say at the end of the game, if they keep a clean sheet, they'll get a bonus, but that's gone. I mean, this is a heck of a strike from Townsend, I will be honest with you. It's gone to the back post. Oh, and there's a missed header in the middle as well. Back post, still a minor problem, but it's not so problematic when we're 4-0 up. It's also incredibly annoying. The 2 people who aren't on 7 ratings or above are the 2 people also on good conditioning at this point of the game as well. Why does that always happen? Why is that a thing? But I can't take Calvert-Lewin off, of course. He's on 2 goals. Can take Digne off, I think, but 15 minutes to go. No one's massively tired, but I do want to get Sula the match fitness because he did take an injury. Mings nearly scores again. He was out for a few weeks. Oh, I've not shown you the massive one. Lewis Cook's had another cruciate ligament injury. He's out to the end of the season again. That's 4 since 2018. That poor man. He'll never ever reach his potential. It's just destined that he'll never reach his potential. Part of the reason why I signed Winks as well as the permanent backup. Can't obviously sell Cook whilst he's got an injury like that either, so that's going to have to wait till the end of the season. And Babu finds Adeyemi. We've got 8 minutes left on the clock, and Adeyemi, well, Calvert-Lewin does get a third, but will he count it offside? Was he beyond the last man when that shot went in? I wasn't paying attention to Dominic in that situation, so I genuinely don't know at this point. Yeah, he was. I hate the fact the goal notice still comes up even when it gets disallowed. That's an annoying bug. Yeah, he was. Okay, fair enough. At this point, we can probably rest Alan Saint-Maximin for a little bit, as well as Joe Willocker a little bit tired. And at 4-1 up, I don't even mind putting Winks into the Mazzala role instead of the central midfield role, which is his preferred. Actually, I've just remembered. Nope, I do have to switch them over because that was part of his agreement to join. I promised Winks he would play as central midfielder. It was non-negotiable. This might be a late penalty. This is very borderline. I think it was just inside the actual tackle. The ball currently sits outside the box, which is the only thing that has me a little bit concerned. It was outside. That's a shame. Dominic could have had a nice opportunity to score his hat-trick, although we will see the resulting free kick, but that might be just because we're in the last 30 seconds of the game. I was on the fence of whether or not I still do the Man UFC match in this game, but bear in mind we've still got transfer deadline day to come, and there's still definitely going to be shenanigans as Keane does something nonsensical there. Clearly very upset that Dominic left. I don't know how he got away with a warning there. He literally just kicked him in the back of the leg. And Barco does at least force a save out of Pickford in what the final action of the game. Resulting corner is going to happen. No, it isn't. We don't concede a massive amount, but we also don't get a lot of clean sheets. It's a weird combination. Or at least it doesn't feel like it's a lot of clean sheets. A lot of teams get consolation goals. But yeah, wins for ourselves and Liverpool and Arsenal perhaps already this weekend. Manchester City do draw. Wait, Manchester City acquired Naby Keita at some point, but Manchester City do draw against West Brom, which means we do go ahead of them for the time being. Man UFC, a little bit of a gap made on thanks to Liverpool beating them. Calvert-Lewin, 2 goals and an assist, 8.8. He'll be in Team of the Week on FIFA, that's for sure, though. And has officially 10 matches in a row in the Premier League without losing. I think you actually saw our last loss. No, you did not. It happened against West Ham. Transfer deadline day in a few days. I'm not ruling out some kind of nonsense happening here. Alan Saint-Maximin's played 100 games. West Ham want to sign Adeyemi. That ain't happening. Leeds were also reported interested in Adeyemi. He's got like an £80 million release clause. That ain't happening. Not from those clubs. If I show you the Premier League, though, the current goal scorer race is between Ronaldo and Lewandowski. It's madness. The Premier League is madness at the moment, but you can see Alan Saint-Maximin second on the assist list now thanks to that game. He's getting a lot of those corner assists. Atterborough's joint on the yellow cards with Tolisso went to Sheffield United at the end of his Bayern Munich contract. Sheffield United. I was tempted by him and then forgot, and then Sheffield United got him. We didn't really need any more midfielders. Arezzo remains intensely confusing as a player. He continues not to get a work permit, which I understand because he's not playing football, because he doesn't have a work permit. I offered him out with 10% wages. There are a few clubs that were listed on the responses saying that's too much wages, so I offered him out with no wage demands, and now they don't exist. I'm in a weird catch-22 and I don't know how to get out of it. See what I mean about these massive score lines though? West Ham 6, Leicester 2, for two teams that are now 10th and 6th. That's a mad game. Lingard scoring in the game, but weirdly for Leicester. Considering how well we're doing, I am anticipating a deadline day massive bid for someone. Sam Maximan, maybe, someone like that, someone who's been here a while, whose contract may be up relatively soon, possibly 2024. Nobody's contract's up at the end of this year, thankfully. Right, so everything's gone yellow and black for deadline day. Looks like we might have just received a loan offer. That was mad negotiating. Demanded they paid his wages. They took out the mandatory future fee and turned him into a fringe player. I demanded he was an important player. Then they put back in a mandatory future fee of 30 grand. And then when I removed that, they didn't want to talk. Tenerife. I mean, he's got no interest apparently, but all right, Tenerife. I will say 40%. Okay, they've negotiated a little bit. A little bit of money per week to him to go to Tenerife. Arezzo, buddy. I know you're not interested in some places, but I just need you to get game time somewhere so you get a goddamn work permit. Some interesting players on agent offers. Bayern Deer is evaluating his situation, but we don't need a goalkeeper, so that's fine. Zakaria is evaluating his situation as well. He went to Hoffenheim at the end of last year and is now already considering his situation there. His transfer value is weirdly the same price it was when he had 6 months left on his contract last time. That was what he was available for then. That's why I didn't bother, because it was 10.5 million for a player. Sorry, not when 6 months, when there was a year left on his contract. Damn it, Jamal. This is the problem. Join them, you fools. I forgot these were just rumours. The last thing Liverpool needs is another good elite attacking midfielder. Finally. Arezzo to AEK Athens? Sure. Important player and a monthly fee? Sure. And regular star, but they're all fine. Arezzo's finally going to get game time somewhere. Ah, my friend Monchu. You are nowhere near as good this year, seemingly. Will I go out for 3 to 4 weeks? That's not good news. Arezzo's going to Trabzonspor. I don't remember seeing this last year. Newcastle fan poll, which position should be the priority? Defence, attack, midfield. I don't like the fact it's in the wrong order. 46% say defence. The defence of Digne, Tyrone Mings, Soule and Hateboer. That's the bit that needs strengthening, is it? Oh, that poll's actually down here in this bottom right-hand side. You can't see it behind my head. I've just been asked about it being a quiet deadline day, and yeah, I am surprised. There's Alexander Isak, of course, who's a big name for quite a lot of saves, but we've gone for Dominic. We don't need Isak. Jordi Alba's available for 6.8 million. How old is Alba at this point? 33. Still decent physically, though. Our outbound deal for Callum Wilson still hasn't gone through, which is concerning, considering how quickly the Arezzo loan was dealt with. I'm going to show you this in case for some reason it falls through, but this is what I agreed with Spurs. 50k a month, 50% of his wages. I don't know why they didn't just do more wages, but 9.5 million all told at the end of it. So it's effectively 10.75 million, including the loan fee, but they've not agreed on an actual contract yet, and this is the end of deadline day. Aha, I think it's just gone through. I did notice Mason Holgate talking to Watford there, but we didn't lose Lascelles, so I don't have a reason to go for it. Except that for Callum Wilson, at this point, I'm going to take 10 million for him. I've actually reduced my wage bill somehow this year. I started this year on 2.3 million per week. So there we go then. Callum Wilson's deal finally sorted. He's gone from a team that was mid-table, that's now challenging for the Champions League, to a team that was challenging for the Champions League, but is now mid-table. But that's the cycle of life. We start February in 3rd. Spurs start February in 11th, having played a game more than us, actually. We're still in the FA Cup. Don't know if they are, but we've got Doncaster in the next round, so in theory, we might have a good old run at the FA Cup this year. But chances are I will bring you back somewhere around this area, possibly Sheffield United and Chelsea. Sheffield bottom, Chelsea doing better? 9th. But if there's a decent FA Cup run and a good draw around that period, we'll probably pair that up with the Chelsea game if it aligns correctly. Otherwise, that's the kind of area I will be aiming at for next time out. So a surprisingly quiet deadline day in the end then. I was fearing, considering our form, I was fearing someone going for one of our players. That's typically what happens. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, clearly in form, scored 5 goals in the last 3 games. Hopefully that continues. I'll let you know when I see you next. Until then, ta-ra.